Representative Crocket, for 3 minutes.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you so much. And Madam Speaker, I rise today in opposition of H.R. 1, the misleadingly named Lowering Energy Cost Act. Now, I had everything all written down what I was going to say, but then I started hearing some other stuff. So I decided that what I wanted to talk about is a few things. Number one, the fact that I need the American people to understand that H.R. 1 means that this is the first bill. This is the bill that the party in power thinks matters most. This is where their priorities lie. So when you look at what the Democrats did, they decided that they wanted to stand for democracy after there were those that wanted to try to tear our democracy apart. And I just have to rest here for a second simply because at the time I was a Texas House representative who had to flee my state because of voting rights, and I urged this House to pass H.R. 1 simply because we were trying to make sure that people would not cheat in these elections. So just because you have control of the House doesn't mean that you didn't take your time and gerrymander these lines, because we know that that's exactly what happened, and that is the only reason that the Democrats are not currently in control. And the reason that this margin is so tight is because our policies stand for the people. And so let's talk about this bill. This bill is about putting people over polluters. So if we want to talk about what the Republicans do when they're in control and they get to decide about power, let's talk about the state of Texas. Let's talk about the fact that we have left the state of Texas in the dark over and over. It was interesting to look across the aisle and see a sign that said that the Republicans will keep the lights on. Well, go talk to Texas and find out if the lights have been kept on or if we have been left in the dark, because we are consistently left in the dark, because there is this idea that if we just go ahead and get rid of regulations, that everything will work out. And unfortunately, it's not worked out. It's not worked out to the tune of us actually losing lives in the state of Texas. So that's why we are here standing before you, making sure that we are fighting for actual lower bills when it comes to our everyday working families that are already squeezed by inflation. In fact, we heard Mr. Speaker talk about the fact that he wanted to make sure there was more money in people's pockets for medicine, but when it came down to voting for the IRA, I don't believe that there were too many Republicans that were voting for that to make sure that we could lower the cost of insulin, just to make sure that the record is clear, if we want to make sure that we are putting more money into their pockets. House Republicans want to lower energy costs for big polluters, plain and simple. But that means somebody foots the bill and somebody pays the price. And once again, go ask my constituents in Texas. We are the ones that are footing the bill for the failures of our grid over and over and over. My constituents tend to be black and brown, mostly, and they tend to be those that are disproportionately living in polluted communities today that are only able to breathe because of the scant environmental protections we actually have. They are being asked to not only endure the brunt of the pollution, but also endure the bill of pollution. I will not and I cannot stand for it. When this bill guts Clean Air Act safeguards to let polluters earn profits faster by curtailing the already paltry public comment period, my constituents foot the bill.
Her time's up. All right, the gentleman from Arizona reserves and the gentleman from Arkansas. Okay. Sorry.
My constituents foot the bill with increased rates of lung disease, healthcare costs, and child mortality. Who foots the bills for these lower energy costs? Not the polluters. It's the little girl on the playground in my district who's inhaling toxic fumes from the concrete plant right next to her school. That little girl will be scarred for the rest of her life with an increased risk of asthma, bronchitis, and cancer, just so polluters can make a quick buck. And you know what makes it crystal clear who the supporters really care about? The Lowering Energy Costs Act repeals the home electric rebate program passed last year to reimburse the cost of energy-efficient home equipment that would have actually lowered Americans' energy costs. House Republicans are lowering energy costs for polluters, all right, and lowering all of our life expectancy right along with it. H.R. 1 puts politics over people and puts polluters over people. With that, I yield.